Welcome back, everybody. We're here to pull cards for September the 5th. I am going to be pulling one card for overall energy, and after that, I'll pull one card for each sign of the zodiac, and we'll see where those predictions take us for the day. If you know your sun sign, you can get a little bit of information or a little bit of juice out of the sun sign reading for you. If you know your sun, moon, and rising, all the better, especially since when you know your rising, you know your house systems, so you know how this is going to play out in different parts of your life. Overall energy is showing up as Emperor in reverse. I feel like we may be feeling a little out of control in some situation in our life today, and we're going to see what situation that has to do with for each sign. Now, the other way that the Emperor in reverse can come up, this could be that we are interacting with somebody who is or has strong narcissistic tendencies. Maybe they're not technically a narcissist, but they can have strong narcissistic tendencies. That can make us feel a little out of control as well, but it doesn't have to be that we're interacting with someone like that. We can be feeling out of control because of other reasons as well. But let's see what's going on that has us feeling like we're not the ones driving the car today. We may feel like we're kind of white knuckling the roller coaster. Let's see what's happening. All right. And the beauty of having a reading like this ahead of time is to be able to mentally and emotionally prepare for it, so that we can respond to it in a way that makes sense, in a way that brings a good positive outcome rather than panicking when something happens because we didn't know it was coming and then we have problems. So that's why we get readings like this ahead of time. And that's why, ideally we appreciate them even when they don't say what we want to hear, because it gives us the opportunity to be more proactive about steering our lives around the situations that do come up in a way that doesn't crash the boat and make us take on water. Starting with Aries, Seven of Swords showing up here. There is a situation that you're feeling like you're not in control of. And for some of you, yes, you're dealing with a narcissist, and that's why you're not in control. But for all of you, we see you getting out of that situation in a very non-dramatic way. Just it's kind of like, when you see a snake in the field, you just back away quietly. You don't make a big ruckus. That's what this is like. I see you just backing out of this situation without causing a scene, just backing away quietly. Taurus. Let's see what we have showing up for you. Fool card showing up here. Taurus, there is some new beginning that you're starting as a leap of faith. And no wonder you don't feel like you control what's going on here. That's kind of the whole deal with a Fool beginning. It's a leap of faith. There is no control. We don't know where this is going to take us. All we know is that it just feels like the right thing. Feels like the thing to do. All right, next up, let's look at Gemini. Gemini's Ace of Pentacles coming up in reverse. What do we have there? Oh, Gemini's. It looks to me like you've given somebody a gift, or maybe you've given somebody a second chance. I consider that a gift. But you've given somebody a gift or even a second chance, and you're feeling like, oh my goodness, now I don't have control anymore. They're doing something with this gift I wasn't expecting them to do with it. I was expecting them to be more productive with it, or I was expecting them to actually relax with it, or I was expecting whatever. Yeah, you're not in control. Once you turn loose of that gift, you're not in control. This card is making me think of back in, what would have that been? Back in the 90s, the 1990s. Um, I was a part of a church that was planning a mission trip. I was not going to go because work would not let me, but my husband at that time was going to go on this mission trip. And so we were going to the meetings and everything to know what to expect and what types of things we needed to have available, for him to go. And one of the things that one of the ladies who had been doing these trips for a while said is that whenever you give these people in a foreign country in a very different socio and economic system than what we're used to, you kind of have to turn loose of any attachment of what they would do with that gift, you know. So they may see value in the gift in a way that you never saw value in a gift. And you kind of just have the best way to function in that situation is to allow that gift to be precious to them in whatever way it is, and let go of any ideas of what you expect them to do with that gift. And she gave some kind of example. I don't remember exactly what it was, but um, she talked about, if you give them, like, say, a whiteboard and some markers, and they decide that that best use of those markers has nothing to do with the whiteboard, the best thing you can do is roll with it, not try to correct them or steer them in a different way. Let's see. Let's move on, shall we? Let's look at Cancer. But Geminis, I think you get the point. Don't be so attached. Let them do what they're going to with the gift. Is it truly a gift if it has strings attached? Cancers. Seven of Pentacles. You're feeling a little bit out of control of your pay. You're feeling like you're not really in control of what's going on with your pay or your paydays right now. It may be that you're starting a new position and you don't know when that first paycheck comes in just yet. Or maybe it's a commission thing and you haven't quite figured out how to make those commissions. Or maybe your company is switching over to a whole payroll system and so things are changing and it's not completely clear just yet. Lots of different ways that that can happen, but looks to me like you're feeling a little bit out of control of your pay. Maybe you were expecting a bonus and it didn't show up yet. All right, next up, we're looking at Leo. Leo. Four of Wands coming up in reverse, Leos. Four of Wands in reverse. Leos, I feel like you've got some time away from home. I don't know if that's today or if that's coming up. I think it's going to be, for some of you, it is going to be today, but for others of you, this is time away from home that's coming up. And I feel like what's being required of you as far as time away from home is not totally in your control. If this is just today, this could be totally down to traffic. But if this is, something that is being planned right now, this could be, that your company is saying, we want you to go away for training, and where you only want to go away for like 3 days max because you want to be back home in time for your daughter to have her first baby or something like that. You may be feeling a little out of control because your company is saying, no, this training is a 2-week training, you know. So, and that's just an example. That's not going to happen for everybody, just an example. But there's something about being away from home, the time that you're spending away from home, not being completely under your control. And I do think that, well, it's interesting. For some of you, that's bringing frustration. And for others of you, it's like, well, what a relief. Like, you don't have to justify or come up with any reasons why you would be in this place. Like, the company has it covered. The company says, I need to be here, babe. Sorry. All right. So let's move on, shall we? Let's look at Virgo. Virgo. Nine of Pentacles in reverse. Virgos, you may be missing somebody or may be missing a situation. For some of you, not all of you, a few of you, you're going to be, this just talks about the idea of grieving and feeling like whatever this is you're missing or you're grieving about, um, this feeling of emptiness that we get when we're grieving or when we're missing someone. It's the feeling for you that feels like you don't have any control over it. And, especially with grief, but really if you're missing somebody too, we don't. I think we kind of don't. Some of the craziest things will trigger grief or trigger missing somebody, just a memory, just the slight little thing we see on TV can trigger a memory, or we can be going through old things and purging the house and getting rid of things that we don't need anymore, and something can trigger. So there you go. You may be feeling like you're a little out of control of those emotions around the idea of missing somebody or mourning for somebody. And it's okay. Um, that stuff is not on a timeline, especially grief, but the other stuff too. It's not on a timeline, you know. I was actually just listening to a video yesterday by where John Edward was being interviewed, or John Edwards. I never can remember if his name has an S on the end of it or not. He was talking about, people think that with grief, the first year is the worst year, but really the second year is the test year. Or I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he basically said the second year is actually worse than the first. And the reason his theory is that the second year is worse than the first is because during the first year, you have people around that are supportive and caring and helpful, and they're worried about you. And then after you've made it through that first year, a lot of people just feel like, oh, well, they've made it through a year, they're going to be just fine. And they kind of drift away, and it's not a big concern anymore. And other things pop up that are concerns. And so your support system is kind of thinned out a whole lot when that second year rolls around. And so where you might have had distractions before of people visiting and all this other stuff, no distractions on the second year. Nothing like that happening. And I think that's a very valid point. So for those of you who are, because I feel like some of you are out there saying, "Oh no, I'm beyond that." Just let me know after the day goes by. And for a lot of you, I don't know. Maybe you newer people don't know, my newer subscribers, but um, I did lose somebody October 29th of 2011. I lost my significant other. So I'm not just talking through my hat. And I'm sending y'all hugs. All right, I think I've shuffled enough for Libra, don't y'all? Gonna be wearing these cards out and one have even pulled one. Libra, 10 of Swords showing up in reverse. What do we have? What do we have? Libra, there's some kind of situation. I'm sorry to laugh. I shouldn't have really. There's some kind of situation where you've been feeling like you're not in control for a while. With the Ten of Swords, this card really is when I look at this card, here's what goes through my mind normally when I look at this card. It ain't over, baby. So whatever this situation is where you're feeling out of control or where you're feeling like you're dealing with somebody who has strong narcissistic tendencies, if that's the case, it ain't over. This is going to be continuing forward. Today is just another day of that. Okay. And especially if you're dealing with somebody with strong narcissistic tendencies, this is going to keep going until you pull the plug on it. The other person will not pull the plug on it. That will be you, if anybody does. Next up, we're looking at Scorpio. Scorpio, Scorpio. Nine of Wands. We're trying to get ready for something. We're trying to prepare for something, but we're feeling a little bit out of control. Like we don't know what we should do to get ready because we don't know exactly what direction whatever this is going to turn in. So we feel a little bit out of control. We don't exactly know what we're doing here in our preparations. We're preparing as best we can, but we're not exactly sure what's coming down the pike. Right? There are options about what could be coming down the pike. We're just trying to prepare for them all just in case. Just in case. All right. Next up, let's look at Sagittarius. Okay. Three of Cups coming up in reverse. Sagittarius, what you're feeling out of control over, where you may have some kind of narcissist in your life, has to do with your friendships or your tribe, close family members or close friends. You've got something going on with a friend where you're feeling like things are out of control. Like I said, you could have a friend that has strong narcissistic tendencies. For others of you, though, and I think for the majority of you, it's not that. I think there's something going on actually in a friend's life that yeah, that feels like it's a little bit out of control. I think you're more holding space for this person than actually being in that situation where something feels out of control for you, but they're in a situation where something is kind of out of control and, out of their control. And I think that you're, um, you're just trying to be a friend to them as they're going through this situation. Next up, let's look at Capricorn. Capricorn. What do we have for Capricorn? What do we have for Capricorn today? Okay, Capricorn. Justice showing up in reverse. There's somebody who has made a decision that influences you that was not made in a fair way. It may have been made in some kind of corrupt way. Maybe they didn't have all the information that they really needed to make this decision, or maybe they just had a bias, you know. But for whatever reason, this decision wasn't made in a fair way, and it's not something that you have control over. It's not something that you can go back and say, hey, I want to redo. This was not right. Try it again, judge. I don't see that happening. Okay. This is just something that is beyond your control, and it's kind of a matter of, okay, well, I guess I need to make the appropriate adjustments to get on with my life here. All right, next up, let's look at Aquarius. Aquarius star card showing up here. This is really interesting, Aquarius, because I feel like you are feeling very hopeful about something. You're feeling very pleasant about something. You're expecting a good outcome. And I think that you're recognizing that how you're feeling around this situation um, is an exaggerated reaction to the evidence in front of you or to what's really going on. It's like being ecstatic over something like that the car starts like it should every day, or something along those lines. It's like you're recognizing that your reaction to this situation is over the top. Okay, it's not really like in in proportion to what the situation is. So this is positive emotion, but it's positive emotion that's in an exaggerated manner. And I think you're a little, I think because you don't feel like you have control over this, it feels like it's kind of run away with you. This has you a little bit, yeah, feeling out of control of your own self. It's almost like your hopes are really high and at the same time you're feeling like, if I crash and burn, this is gonna hurt, but I have no control over where this is going, and I have no control over my feelings about it right now. Okay. Next up, we're looking at Pisces. May not crash and burn, doesn't have to. What if it works out? Pisces, you guys have the Tower cards showing up in reverse. Now, this is interesting, Pisces, because the Tower card talks about a recovery from a situation where there was a major shakeup. All right. And this talks about recovering from that and actually coming out on the other side better. I think you're starting to see the first manifestations of that coming out on the other side better. But I feel like this is sort of a predestined type of situation. I don't feel like you have a lot of control over it. I feel like the universe has kind of lined this recovery up for you, maybe even in spite of you for some of you. Maybe you have been feeling really like, oh my gosh, terrified, not knowing what to do, expecting the worst. The spirit has come up with a solution for you. It's not in your control. You could not have created this solution on your own, I'll tell you that. Now, for those of you who are great at manifesting and great at visualizing, you could have brought this in easy peasy. But just the way it shows up here with the Emperor in reverse and overall, I don't think you had that much control over it, even doing manifestation work, which is very, you know, low level, not low level in a bad way, but as in under the radar, I guess is what I want to say. Not other people would know you were even working on it. So I don't think that you're even really doing manifestation work to bring this recovery in. I think that it's just bound to happen. All right, so that's not a bad thing. Recovery that's bound to happen is always a good thing. Recovery and overcoming. All right, so that's what we've got for today. Thank you guys so much for stopping by and hanging out. I do appreciate it. Of course, I am doing readings today, either on the phone or online. If you want to schedule one of those with me, all you have to do is reach out and we will get you taken care of as quickly as possible. Everyone, thank you once again for being here. Remember to put a thumbs up, share this video out to the world if you think it might help, and also put your feedback down below. I appreciate all your support. That helps YouTube take me more seriously, and I appreciate that. So, everyone, have a fantastic day. Peace out.